They'll finish up this series, and then Toronto hosts Los Angeles tomorrow, so the teams continue to get more and more difficult for the Jays. And boy, having the Red Sox posed a problem in the first two here. They've combined for 5 home runs in the first 2 games, a pair of them from David Ortiz. Ortiz with 4 long bombs in his last 5 games, and consider he wasn't even in the original lineup on Tuesday with Ricky Romero starting for the Blue Jays that night, but an injury to Jason Varitek last minute, and Terry Francona put him in. He's been so productive, and tonight goes up against a left-hander in Brett Cecil, and his numbers are presented to you by Ford. This is Ford Today, Drive 1.
You know, we have talked about how hard he was hit against the Boston Red Sox back on May the 20th. His only loss of the season. Still, 5-1, very good, 3-0 with an ERA of just over 2 in his last 5 starts. He returns to the mound for the first time since August the 8th after being sidelined with a left knee injury. Here's the scouting report on young Brett Cecil. He needs to be aggressive with his fastball. When he does that, it makes the changeup better, and he's got to get the Red Sox batters biting on that changeup, something they didn't do when Ricky Romero was on the mound a couple of nights ago. And how far will 100 go? 100 pitches. Cito Gaston telling us before the game that he's good enough to go 100, 105 pitches. He just doesn't know how far that's going to take him. With the left-hander on the mound for the Boston Red Sox and John Lester, here's the lineup that Cito Gaston sends out there. Jose Bautista gets to start in left field with Wells and Snyder. Kevin Millar gets to start over at first base as Lyle Overbay takes a seat on the bench with the lefty, the tough lefty, and Lester on the hill.
Time to play some baseball then, as Cecil deals strike 1 to Jacoby Ellsbury, who has 3 hits in this series and 4 RBIs. He's done a little bit of everything except steal a base as he pops this one up. Encarnacion near the coach's box puts it away. And Ellsbury is a quick out for Brett Cecil. Here's the crew for tonight's ball game with Greg Gibson working behind home. Their crew chief is at second base tonight, the veteran Tim McClelland. And we welcome Dustin Pedroia back to the Boston lineup. He missed the first 2. He's been down in Boston. He and his wife celebrated the arrival of their son Dylan yesterday. Dylan weighing in at just over 7 pounds. Pedroia was all smiles today prior to this ball game, taking handshakes from, well, pretty well everybody in the building.
Might have a little jet lag going also. But you're on such a high when one of your children are born during the baseball season. It doesn't matter. Now he wants to go out there and do something special for that newborn.
Well, he comes back to play the 3rd and final game of this series, and he's been yet again very productive at the top of the order for the Red Sox, though not recently. Pedroia's 86 runs scored puts him 3rd in the American League. He's been getting on. They've been bringing him in. The 1-2 pitch from Cecil is high and tight, 2-2.
Starting to find his home run swing also. He hit a home run his first at-bat of this season. Then it took him 190 more at-bats to hit another. Remember when he won the American League MVP last year, he had 17 home runs.
Fights that one off. Still 2-2 on Pedroia. Cecil clearly remembers the start he made May 20th at Fenway Park. And shortly afterward, in fact 2 days later, he was sent down to AAA after the Red Sox rocked him for 5 home runs. And as Pat pointed out, his only loss of the year to this point. He bounces that one. But in 12 starts this year for Cecil, 5 victories, 1 loss, and 6 no decisions. It was ugly at Fenway Park. And some might say it got some of these players going.
Yeah, it got David Ortiz going. We know that. Michael Lowell, Jason Varitek hit a couple of home runs in that game.
It's a full count here on Pedroia. Here's the kick from Cecil, ball 4. Well, no rookie wants a base runner when there's an accomplished hitter coming up, and that accurately defines Victor Martinez.
Especially when you jump ahead 0-2 against somebody like Pedroia, and then you lose them, and then you have to face the middle of the lineup. Victor Martinez, 80 RBIs now to go along with those 19 home runs. He has been on fire, and he's had a good series so far here.
If you're wondering why the roof is closed here at the Rogers Center, I think you just heard why. What a bang outside the building. As I know, the game being played today at Comerica Park in Detroit had been delayed for a while because of thunder showers and the like, and clearly they've made their way into southern Ontario as Cecil sees the count go 1-1 here against Victor Martinez. There's your base runner with one out. That's Pedroia.
Red Sox have been on a home run tear. We've been talking about home runs and Brett Cecil and the last time they faced him. Red Sox have hit 30 home runs already this month, including 11 in the last 5 games. What you have to do against them, you can't give them that much credit. Look at the 6 games that Martinez has played in. We've told you he's hot. I don't think you can pitch around them. I think you have to be aggressive, and you've got to throw to spots. You can't worry about them being good at bat type of hitters. You just got to go up there and attack them.
Here's a line shot to Scudero. Pedroia dives back to first.
If you nibble and you try and make a perfect pitch and throw one on the outside corner, or try and paint on the inside and try and throw that perfect pitch, before you know it, you're going to be behind 3-1. And then you have to come to them. And that's where they have hurt Blue Jays in this series. Cecil is at his finest when he is attacking. And I remember his start he had down in Baltimore where he went home for the first time and pitched very aggressively with his fastball. Brad Arnsberg was telling me after the game, he said they want him to be aggressive with his fastball early in the count and then use your changeup later. Worked to perfection for him in that start.
And look how working the count seemed to work for the Red Sox last night against Roy Halladay, of all people.
Could not believe that. 5 innings in 103 pitches for Halladay. I don't think I've ever seen that out of him in all the games that I have done when he is on the mound.
Last night, the first non-injury related game this year in which Halladay has not made it through 7 innings. And he said afterward he simply didn't have a feel. As Cecil gets the strikeout of Youkilis, and he leaves Pedroia at first. That's a good start for the kid who got lit up by the Red Sox in May. He'll walk off and watch the offense take over from here after a half inning, no score, as you watch the Blue Jays and Red Sox on Rogers Sports. Three-game series. They'll lean on Vernon Wells, who moves up in the order, batting third tonight, right behind Aaron Hill. Wells this year against the Red Sox, an impressive .313 with 3 doubles, 3 runs driven in. And he's got Rod Barajas right behind him hitting cleanup tonight against the left-hander John Lester.
John Lester's record could be a whole lot better if the Red Sox could score some runs for him. He has not received a decision in his last 4 starts, although he's given up just 9 earned runs in those starts. 2-1 with a .233 earned run average versus the Jays this year. Lots and lots of strikeouts, 176 of them for Lester. That's good for third in the American League.
Old reliables up there leading off. Marcos Scutaro. For so long, Scutaro has been a super utility player. Comes off the bench from time to time in his years with the Oakland A's, but here he's a full-time man, leading off, playing shortstop every day. This is his 117th game of the year, and 119 have been played. So Cito Gaston has made a habit of scratching his name into the lineup, and he has certainly answered.
You got the chance to see him last year on a regular basis. First when Scott Rowland went down with an injury and started opening eyes saying, hey, this guy's a pretty good player. And I was talking to the manager of the Cleveland Indians over the weekend. I was in Columbus talking to Torey Lovello, and I was asking him about Scutaro because he played in the Indians organization. He said, hey, he is a good player.
Gonzalez gets to the baseball, but Scutaro safe at first on the infield single. And now he's giving some love to Gonzalez.
He's telling him to let that ball go. Don't make me run down this line so fast. Having a hit in doubt. Hits it by Mike Lowell, the Gold Glove third baseman. So he can't just jog down the line and make a nice little turn. He's got to run hard because Gonzalez gets to it but can't come up with it. It'll go as an infield single. Gonzalez has played some good shortstop that we have seen here in this series.
A leadoff single for Scutaro. Here's Aaron Hill. Ball 1. So Lovello knows Scutaro's game quite well then.
Yes. Yes. Had a chance to watch him up close and personal. Knows all about him. You know, it's hard to get rid of tags sometimes when you're in the major leagues. You get tagged with well, he can only play this position, or he's just a utility type of player. You've got to go out there and prove it. And when you do, then people start saying, hey, this guy's okay. I looked at this guy a little bit wrong. Happens all the time.
Prove it when you get that opportunity, and that opportunity has presented itself here for Marco.
That's right.
Aaron Hill right behind him. Hill scored the only run of the game for the Blue Jays last night. Facing Lester, the left-hander, who delays and then comes to the plate. And that's a base hit down the line into left field. Jason Bay picks it up as Scutaro heads for third. Hill into second with a double. And the Blue Jays get their first 2 on.
Against a pitcher who has been really tough on him all year long. The first 2 batters reach an infield single, and then Aaron Hill, who is so quick on the inner half with that fastball. Watch him rip it right by Lowell down the line, hooks and bangs off that corner. Scutaro goes first to third. Aaron Hill with another extra base hit. He leads the American League in total bases, and you can see why.
That's something they did not have in the ball game last night. An extra base hit. Managing just 6 hits, all of them singles. So 2 in scoring position. And here's Vernon Wells, as we pointed out, hitting well over 300 against the Red Sox this year. He's got a chance to drive in a run. He picked up an RBI in the 4th inning last night with a single. And so Wells has knocked in 49 this year. Lester coming off 4 straight no decisions. And his last loss coming right here in this building when he was outpitched by Roy Halladay. A complete game gem for Doc that day. Here's the 2-0 pitch. And Wells takes it for a strike.
Yeah, he only gave up 3 runs in 7 innings and lost that game. But his previous 2 starts, he really dominated the Blue Jays. Combined 2 runs, 16 strikeouts, and 12 1/3 innings.
Lester deals. Wells swings. It's fouled back. And it's 2-2. And so that brings us to our first edition of Rogers Fast Facts, brought to you by Canada's fastest mobile network. 3 times faster than any other. And Aaron Hill now leads the American League with 258 total bases after that double. You'll find his name in the top 10 in most offensive categories this year.
Who are some of the players that he is ahead of? Mark Teixeira, big slugger. Justin Morneau, another big slugger. Michael Young, 4th on the list from Texas, and Miguel Cabrera from Detroit. And who's better than all of them? That guy right there.
That's in the dirt. Now 3-2 on Wells. The cleanup hitter tonight for the Blue Jays is Rod Barajas. He's on deck.
John Lester looks like he's having trouble getting loose and finding it here in the first inning. His fastball doesn't have the normal pop that we have seen. He throws a good hard cutter. There are his career numbers in 8 starts. Just doesn't look right now that he is loose and he's able to throw the ball where he wants to.
The payoff now to Wells is low for ball 4. He's given up a single, a double, and now a walk to the first 3 Toronto hitters.
Here's how they'll line up defensively. This is the team that Terry Francona sends out there. Bay, Ellsbury, and Drew. We've seen them in all 3 games now. Dustin Pedroia back in the lineup. After missing the last 2, Mike Lowell had a night off last night. And it's been a good series for Victor Martinez, tonight's catcher, offensively. Hasn't had a chance to throw out a base stealer in this series.
So Barajas stands in. On Tuesday night, he knocked Josh Beckett out of the ball game with a 2-run home run to deep center field. Bases loaded, nobody out. 1 grand slam this year. That came back in April when Kevin Millar hit one in Minnesota. The 1-strike pitch now from Lester on the ground. Gonzalez turns for 2 and over to first base for the double play. The Jays cash 1, but it wasn't exactly the way they were hoping.
Yeah, Rod Barajas does not hit into a lot of double plays. That's just his 2nd of the season because he's a fly ball type of hitter. But Lester gets him on the ground. And a good turn by Pedroia. The Red Sox will take that. They'll give up the run and play for 2. They get that. And now it'll take a 2-out hit by Millar. What looked like a big inning starting. 2-out hit by Millar to cash just the 2nd run.
Millar, a rare start. His first since Saturday. He went 0 for 4 against Scott Kazmir and the Tampa Bay Rays. And he takes that one from Lester, low and away, ball 1.
You surprised about Rod Barajas? Just 1 double play grounded into before that at bat?
Not necessarily, because he's a fly ball hitter.
Fly ball type of hitter. That's right. Looking to lift. Lester's got that cutting fastball that he'll use against right-handers and make it go down and in. You have to be very quick to get it out in front if you want to pull it and keep it off the ground. If you're not, you're going to roll over like we just saw, and the ball's going to be on the ground.
2 balls, no strikes here against Kevin Millar. Aaron Hill, the last runner left, he's over at third, and now it's 3-0. Something seems to be amiss early on from the left-hander.
This isn't the type of game that we saw from Lester in the middle of the season. He had 12 strikeouts against Toronto when he won 8-2 right here. And he was dominant from the first pitch to the last. 9 innings. Gave it just 1 earned run and 3 hits.
Little cocktail can change things, as that's ripped foul by Millar. A hot, muggy night indoors like this, maybe he just needs a refreshment. But if he can get out of this without any more damage, certainly Lester will take 1 run given up, considering the situation that presented itself. Bases loaded, nobody out. Here's a 3-2 to Millar, and he got him. So he avoids a whole lot of damage and gives up just the 1 run. And after 1 inning of play, 1-0 Toronto. And that's exactly why the roof is closed tonight. Looks like a chest protector, doesn't it? Are you sure that's a backpack? Looks like something Rod Barajas would strap on when he goes to work. And Barajas takes strike 1 on Canadian Jason Bay, who kicks off the 2nd inning for the Red Sox. Here in rainy Toronto, it's 1-0 for the Blue Jays as we hit the 2nd inning. Brett Cecil kicks and fires, and it's ball 1. Bay with 7 home runs in his last 11 games.
What an August it has been.
There's a liner right to short. Scudero has it. Bay is gone.
He did not have a good month of July. Lots of strikeouts, but August has been very good to him. They've played a few games on the road too. I can't wait to see him when he goes back to Fenway Park, because he could do some damage there.
And he went through a terrific slump in the middle of the summer, and told me yesterday, you know, it's funny when you're not hitting, how you start to really think about why. Is it my arm? Is it the way I'm setting up? Is it my timing? Is it this foot ahead of that foot? And he said the key is just to stop thinking about all of that and just swing.
He is so right when you talk about that. It's hard enough to go in there and try and hit a 90, 92 mile an hour fastball. If you're up there and you're thinking about, well, where's my hands? Where's my feet? You know, am I short? When all is said and done, those are all negative thoughts, trying to beat you down. I got some of the best advice hitting-wise from Mike Hargrove. Where that ball is lifted to center field. Vernon Wells is going to catch up to this one. Mike Hargrove told me when I was a young player, I was struggling, and I went to him and I said, boy, how do I look? Same thing that Jason Bay's saying, my hands here, how do my feet look? He says, you know what? Keep it simple. Forget all about that and just see the ball and just swing at it. Let your natural ability just take over. That might sound simple or an oversimplification of something, but it's so true. You get all that out of your mind so you can let your talent take over and hit the baseball.
I heard Mike Lowell on the Fan 590, the local radio station, all sports radio station here in town, addressing Vernon Wells' season-long struggles. And he put it very simply. He said, if you look at anybody who's had a long career in the major leagues, at some point statistically they're going to have one terrible year. It happens to everybody.
Yes.
You're looking at a guy here in Wells who's had outstanding seasons in the past for the Blue Jays. 2003, in fact, he had more hits in a single year than any other Blue Jay in history.
30 home run seasons, 100 RBI seasons.
And Lowell knows this. His last year with Florida was awful. But he turned it around when he joined the Red Sox. And he pounds this one over Cecil. Gloved by Hill. And he makes the throw to get a slow roll. And ensures a 1-2-3 inning for Brett Cecil. Well, come on inside and get some cover. It's pouring outside. The Blue Jays bring Randy Ruiz to the plate when we continue. Blue Jays hit 3 home runs in tonight's ball game. A lucky contestant wins a 52-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV with full array LED backlight and the lowest power consumption of any TV available today, plus a Blu-ray disc player. Aquos LED, the evolution of LCD TV, continues. Please enter at hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. That's something Randy Ruiz has been doing with regularity. He's got 3 with the Jays so far, but this is a ground out to the shortstop, and just barely. That throw almost pulled Youkilis off the bag.
Hustling down the line all the way on a routine ground ball. The scouting report on John Lester, he has great stuff. Fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. He'll throw any pitch at any time. He'll backdoor that curveball, sliders to right-handers on the hands, and it's been a hot August for John Lester. He's made 3 starts. He's had 19 innings pitched, 28 strikeouts, a .203 batting average. Do you know how many wins he's had this month? 0. That's not
Thanks
fair.
for coming.
Yeah. You know, he since the All-Star break, he has been one of the better pitchers in the American League, but doesn't have anything to show for it.
There's Gonzalez again. He throws out Encarnacion.
John Lester has made 6 starts, and he's only allowed 14 earned runs since the All-Star break, throw in 45 strikeouts, and when all is said and done, Jamie, he's had 1 win since the All-Star break.
Unbelievable. And 6 10-plus strikeout games, including a 12 strikeout affair here at Rogers Center against the Blue Jays. That's a career high for Lester as he faces Jose Bautista, who makes his first appearance since pinch hitting Sunday down in Tampa Bay. Bautista hitting just .229, but all 3 of those home runs have come against left-handed pitchers as he gets into the lineup tonight against John Lester.
You were talking about double-digit strikeout games for Lester in his career. He's had 7 of them. That is the most by a Boston Red Sox lefty since 1954. Second only to Bruce Hurst, who had 13. Remember Bruce Hurst with his good curveball and good splitter? He teamed up nicely with Roger Clemens to form a nice 1-2 punch, just like the Red Sox have now with Josh Beckett, John Lester.
2-1 on Bautista. Lester just 25 years of age. He comes from Tacoma, Washington, just south of Seattle. And this ball is aired out down the line. And it twists out of play and then bounces. Oh, it's going to bounce right back to Babe. But look at that young man making a fine catch. So it's 2-2 now on Bautista.
Starting to get loose now. 93 miles an hour on the fastball. A lot better than the fastball we saw last inning from John Lester.
The 3-2 high for ball 4. He's walked his second man. And you saw Lester in disgust look down at his feet and say something awful as he walks Bautista. We'd like to tell you about this promotion. If you text the word bold to 222, you receive a $50 SMS discount coupon from Rogers, and you can use the coupon toward the purchase of a new BlackBerry Bold or Curve 8900 smartphone from Rogers at any wireless Wave or T-Booth retail location throughout Canada. Here's Travis Snyder. Thunder and lightning outside, and thunder at the plate. This young man, when he gets a hold of a pitch, can do some special things. Remember that shot at the Metrodome in Minneapolis? I think that ball landed about 3 days ago.
Right. Off of a pitcher who's been released. Was that Luis Ayala?
Luis Ayala. Wave and a miss.
I like that he is in the lineup. I was really curious when I got to the ballpark today to run down to see the lineup if Cito Gaston was going to put him in the lineup. He told us when he first got here he's going to play every day. He's going to play right field. And we said right-handers and left-handers, and we thought right away of John Lester. Is he going to be in there? So it's good to see he's going to have a chance to face one of the best lefties.
Well, this is part of that midsummer education. They want Snyder playing every day, very similar to the philosophy that they took last year when Adam Lind came up in the middle of June.
And look what happened with him. You can't learn anything sitting on the bench. You've got to play.
He goes after a high fastball, and it's 2-2. Lind watches from the dugout today. He's got a night off. And there's the prodigy. Snyder on 2-2. Lester throws over to keep Bautista close.
That was not his good move. That was just one of those show me moves over to first base. He has one of the better moves in all of baseball. That wasn't it.
Here's the pitch from Lester, and it's a breaking ball in for strike 3 as Snyder goes down looking, and that ends the second inning with the Blue Jays on top 1-0. Comfort Zone is a charity known as Pink Strokes. They're doing what they can to raise money for breast cancer research. And so hopefully they're enjoying themselves tonight as the Blue Jays lead the Red Sox 1-0 after 2 innings of play. You've got the number 8 hitter J.D. Drew, who has been hitting second in this series. He drops down in the order tonight against young Brett Cecil and airs this one out to right field, and it is out of here. J.D. Drew with a home run to tie the ball game.
The home run keeps showing up for the Boston Red Sox. 31 home runs this month now. 12 in the last 6 games. Before this at bat, J.D. Drew had 13 home runs, only 2 of them against left-handers. It looks like Travis Snyder either got his foot caught in that wire fencing out there and could not climb the wall, but that one just barely made it out.
And so Drew gets his 14th of the year, ties the game at 1, and it brings up Alex Gonzalez. There's a base hit to center field.
Hasn't he had a nice series also? We talked about him defensively. Offensively, he's driven in some big runs, 2 out hits we have seen. Now, if you're Brett Cecil, what you have to do, you've got to just relax. Here's that replay. He gets back, gets it into that wire fencing and just can't climb the wall, and it just barely makes it over.
Boy, based on that look, if he could get some footing,
maybe
he gets to that.
Lifts himself up over the fence. certainly has a chance to make that catch.
Jacoby Ellsbury drops the bunt. Cecil quickly off the mound, shuffles to first, but not in time to get the speedy Ellsbury.
He leads the team in bunt hits now with 5. This looked like a sacrifice. You know, you bunt for a base hit. If it doesn't work out, it still works as a sacrifice. But with his speed, he just outruns the ball. That's the same type of play that Brett Cecil hurt his knee on against Baltimore. Remember when he went towards the first base line and kind of fell over? That time the shovel and Ellsbury's speed just outruns the baseball. Get it down, get it by the left-handed pitcher. And with that great speed, he beats it out.
First and second for the Red Sox. Nobody out. Dustin Pedroia, the hitter. He takes for strike 1. Boston is the 4th best team in the American League at driving in runs when there are runners in scoring position. And here is Pedroia hitting .295.
Another player that has been on a tear over the last couple of weeks, home run wise. He's hit 5 of them in his last 14 games.
He takes a massive cut there, and it's 0-2. Cecil deals. It's high. Pedroia's jersey is caked in dirt after he had to dive back to first inning after Victor Martinez lined sharply to short. Pedroia was cut off first. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And he muscles that one to Scudero, who makes a leaping grab and keeps everybody in place.
Timing just wasn't there for Dustin Pedroia. Was fooled a little bit on that curveball and muscles it out to Scudero. They can't move the runners up. Victor Martinez now hits with runners on first and second and 1 down.
Martinez lined out to short in the first inning. He comes back up with Gonzalez and Ellsbury aboard. Breaking ball for strike 1. Cecil in his first year in the big leagues. And he's squinting, and for a reason. He's going to have some glasses by September to wear out there on the mound. That's an eye opener if you're Victor Martinez.
What, the guy squinting in there and then throws one up and in?
He looks like Ryan Duran. Remember the old Yankee pitcher?
Sure.
With the big Coke bottle glasses.
Fastball up and in. Martinez right on top of that plate, as you can see. It's almost as if his hands are hanging over the inner half of the plate. So when anything is close like that, ducking out of the way.
Now,
Barajas is still giving signs, even though Victor Martinez had stepped out.
to center field. In comes Wells, running quickly. He makes the catch and gets Martinez. A long way to run for Wells. He makes a nice grab, though, and helps out his pitcher without number 2. Sounds of uke throughout the building. Strike one inside.
He has had good numbers against lefties his whole career, turning it up a notch this year. 327, 6 of his home runs have been hit against left-handed pitchers. He is money in the bank with runners in scoring position in his career.
This inning, the first sign of trouble for Cecil, who issued a walk in the first, got a 1-2-3 in the second, but so far has allowed the Drew home run, a wall scraper out in right field, as well as 2 singles, one a bunt single from Ellsbury. First and second for the Red Sox with 2 away. A 1-1 pitch on the way to Youkilis, and he misses it.
It's that good change up there, off-speed pitch. Talked about in the scouting report, he's got to throw it for strikes. Ricky Romero the other night had a lot of trouble throwing his fastball for strikes and his off-speed stuff for strikes, and he paid the price. There are the numbers. Youkilis runners in scoring position. If you can throw that for a strike, add it to your arsenal, it's going to make your fastball that much better.
The 2-strike pitch, and he's gone. There goes Youkilis as he goes around, punched out by Ted Barrett. And that ends the third for the Red Sox. They get 1 on the Drew home run, and we're tied at 1. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. And the next one comes up Thursday, September 3rd, with the Yankees in town. You receive the pink Blue Jay cap if you sit in the ladies' night section. So ticket information is available at 416-341-1304. Somebody from the ladies' night section apparently is going to lunch with us tomorrow.
That is going to be picked tonight, right?
Going to be picked tonight. That should be fun. Is your wife aware of this?
She is now. I'm sure she's watching at home. Yes, she is.
Sorry, Susan.
She knows.
Here's Marco Scutaro. And he leads off here in the Blue Jays half of the third. Scutaro singled to left field and scored on the double play ball in the first inning. The Blue Jays had the bases loaded, nobody out, but Barajas hit into a double play. It cashed Scutaro, but Lester got out of the inning by striking out Kevin Millar. So it is 1-1.
We've had a lot of that lately. 3 hits in an inning last night and no runs scored. Bases loaded, nobody out, just one comes across. Something that the Blue Jays did, something great at the beginning of the year. Ball hit on the ground to the Gold Glover.
Sunday in Tampa Bay. In this very inning, in fact, the third inning, they led off with 3 consecutive singles and couldn't score. Lind with the bases loaded, flied out to center field. Overbay struck out, and then Wells grounded out.
We were talking before the game about the numbers. The Angels are coming into town. And Scotty Carson looked back on his graphics the last time the Blue Jays played the Angels back in May, the beginning of May. They were hitting over 300 as a team with runners in scoring position, #1 in the American League. Biggest difference from then until now that they just have not been able to come up with those big hits when they've needed them.
That's popped up, and the ball comes back out of play. It all really started to go south after the Blue Jays wrapped up a 4-game sweep here of the Chicago White Sox. Went into Boston. I believe it was 3.5 up on first place, and immediately got swept.
Yeah. Shell shocker too, and that was that series that we've talked about at the end of May. They made some changes to their roster, moved some guys up and down. Went on to Atlanta and lost those. The home runs have still been there for the Blue Jays. You were talking earlier about no extra base hits in last night's game. That broke a streak of 11 consecutive games of at least 1 home run by the Blue Jays. So the home run power has been there for them. They just haven't been able to cash in runs when they have them in scoring position consistently.
Lester fools Hill. He strikes out.
Looked like a breaking ball from Lester right over the top. His 3rd strikeout tonight. He came into this game 3rd in the American League in strikeouts with 176. 2nd in the American League, averaging over 10 per 9 innings.
Here's Wells, ball 1. Go figure this statistical oddity. Here at home, Vernon Wells is hitting only 195, but get him out on the road, and he bats 306.
I can't.
Cito Gaston had no explanation for that. As he bounces it to 3rd, barehanded by Lowell in the dirt at 1st and dug out by Youkilis. What a combination. And perhaps Lester is settling in now after 3 were tied at 1. Brought to you by Canada's fastest mobile network, 3 times faster than any other. And since acquiring Jason Bay at the deadline last year, the Red Sox are 102-72. He has, without question, had an impact. In fact, he leads this club in home runs and RBIs. And Bay leads off the 4th inning for the Boston Red Sox. And if he looks down the 3rd baseline, he'll see someone new manning the 3rd bag. There's John McDonald.
Takes over for Edwin Encarnacion at 3rd base. We'll find out as soon as possible what that is all about. Pass it along to our fans out there.
Tied at 1, 4th inning. Brett Cecil deals in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes on Jason Bay, who came over from Pittsburgh last year in a 3-team deal and was one of 4 men in the major leagues last year to knock in 100 runs with 2 teams. Bay did it with Pittsburgh and Boston. Manny Ramirez did it with the Red Sox and the Dodgers. Mark Teixeira did it with the Braves and the Angels, and Adam Dunn with Cincinnati and Arizona.
How many of them were free agents?
3 of them.
3 of them were free agents.
Teixeira, Manny, and Adam Dunn.
So,
and that tells you something.
Tells you something
about about free agency. Cecil on the 2-1.
Get something for that hitter before you lose him for nothing.
Well, think back to the years when there wasn't free agency, and consider this, that for a stretch of almost 40 years, Pat, from the end of the 1953 season to the beginning of 1993, only 1 man drove in 100 runs with 2 teams in one season, as Bay draws a walk on Cecil to kick off the 4th, and that was Willie Montañez with the Phillies and Giants in 1975. 40 years.
40 years, just one.
Just one guy.
Last year alone, we had 4. Well, speaking of 4, David Ortiz is looking to homer in 4 straight games.
What a series. He went deep in the 2nd last night against Roy Halladay. Knocked one out against Ricky Romero on Tuesday night. Sees a left-hander here and Brett Cecil. And hit his first home run of the year on the 20th of May against Cecil at Fenway Park.
It only took him 150 at-bats to do that. Yeah.
That was the big story in April and early May. What is wrong with David Ortiz? I mean, he's battled all kinds of injuries, slight injuries the last couple of years.
Knee injuries, and if you don't have your legs underneath you as a big power hitter, you're just swinging with your arms, and you're not going to generate any power. I don't know what's going on here. Timeout, a balk.
They're calling a balk on Brett Cecil.
I think they are. We'll play this one through. But if a hitter doesn't have his legs under him, that's where you generate all your power. Your bigger muscles are in your legs and back, and he's had some knee problems. Now, there's some talk out at second base between the umpires of what that was all about. The ball got away.
And so now they're sending Bay to 3rd.
This replay will tell. Remember, if he steps off of the rubber and throws the ball, they're going to call that a throw. Comes back to him. I think he goes then and picks it up, goes back on the mound, and then throws it away. That was not, no timeout was called. There was no timeout called, Jamie. And if a pitcher steps off the rubber, throws the ball, or any player throws a ball away into the stands, whatever, it's 2 bases. The umpires got it right. That was just not a smart play by a young pitcher. You need to call timeout first, get it from the home plate umpire, and then you can throw the ball away.
Rookie mistake. And so Bay finds himself at 3rd. Here's the 2-1 pitch under the elbows against Ortiz. And on the play, Cecil is charged with an error. A 2-base error. And haven't the Red Sox in this series taken advantage of the opportunities handed to them by the Blue Jays? Ortiz down the line, and it's corralled by Millar, and his play keeps Bay at 3rd. Jason Bay was undecided, and he finds himself still at 3rd base.
Well, you're told from the third base coach, make the ball go through. And when Kevin Millar makes that great play right there, Jason Bay had thoughts of it. Got to make it go through. He sees him catch it, and he holds up. One out. If they're playing contact, he'll score easily. As soon as you see a base or a fielder leave his feet like that, and you have that big lead, you could score easily. But I think it was ingrained in his head that he was going to make the ball go through. Millar caught it. He just froze.
He hasn't played a lot lately, but he makes a big play there. And gets David Ortiz. Here it's Mike Lowell, who's batting 7th for the Red Sox tonight. He's 0 for 1.
Let's see if the defense can now pick Brett Cecil up. We have seen some weird plays in this 3-game series against the Red Sox defensively. And it has cost the Blue Jays. Guys, yesterday they had him in a rundown at second base and couldn't get him out. Steals, they were thrown down to second, couldn't come up with the ball. Ball's dropped. Can't get it out on a bunt, and now runner on first base doesn't get timeout, and it's 2 bases.
The 2-0 to Lowell in the dirt, 3-0. It seems Kevin Youkilis has been involved in pretty well all of that stuff. He was clearly tagged out by Lyle Overbay at first last night, but called safe by Greg Gibson, who was working first base last night.
And then he stole second base and came off the bag, and the ball was dropped.
But it was Encarnacion who was covering the bag, and he just couldn't hold on to the baseball. Opportunities aplenty for the Red Sox in this series. Here's the pitch, and it's sent foul. So now 2-2 on Mike Lowell.
Good RBI man for Mike Lowell. Good RBI guys salivate when they see the infield coming in. Jays want to cut that run off at the plate. Bay does not have a big lead at third.
That's punched right up the middle into center field, and Bay comes in to score. The Red Sox have the lead. And because Brett Cecil threw one away, allowing Bay to move up 2 bases, Boston is now on top.
You know, that's why Mike Lowell is a good RBI man. He sees the infield in. He's just going to try and punch it right back through the middle on a good pitch from Brett Cecil. Down and away, but because the infield was in, Aaron Hill cannot get to the ball. It's an RBI single for Lowell. The Red Sox take advantage again on an error by the Blue Jays.
Good teams often do.
Yeah. They can feel it. Sam was talking about it in the opening, that in the American League East, you can't afford to make mistakes because these teams just smell blood.
And if you consider how many one-run games the Blue Jays have lost this year, 22 of them, you'll know how impactful some of these errors, some of these gifts to the opposition can be. And Cecil with 2 strikes on Drew. And he almost got him to chase there. Drew with a home run in the 3rd. His 14th of the season, tied it at 1.
This is the errors since August 1st. The Jays with 14 of them. And that has translated into a losing record.
What was that? That was the day after Scott Rowland was dealt to Cincinnati.
Coincidence? I think so. The Jays have caught the ball all season long. They played great inner defense to help the earned run average from the pitchers. But we've just seen some screwy plays this series.
What was 0-2 on Drew is now 3-2. With one out here in the fourth inning. A run already in after the two-base error. Lowell drives it home with a little punch shot into center field. And now Drew, the number 8 hitter, who homered last inning, has a full count. And he rips this one to right field too. And there is no question about where it's headed. Goodbye baseball. A 2-run shot for Drew, his second home run of the game.
Seventh time this year that a Red Sox have had a two home run game. Bay's done it, Veritek's done it a couple times, Youkilis, and now J.D. Drew. Something up and out over the plate, and J.D. Drew with that classic home run swing from lefties puts it into the bullpen in right field to make it 4-1.
4-1 Boston. That man's hit 2 home runs. Cecil gave up 5 when he faced the Red Sox last in May. It seems, Pat, this team, the Boston Red Sox, gives fits to 2 rookie left-handers for the Blue Jays, Brett Cecil and Ricky Romero.
Given fits to a lot of pitchers over the years.
Let's go down to Sam Cosentino.
Jamie, J.D. Drew 1 for 8 in the first 2 games in the series, hitting in the 2-hole, but with Victor Martinez catching and everyone healthy, Terry Francona forced to make a move that actually has worked out pretty good for him tonight as Drew hits in the 8th hole here tonight.
It has worked out indeed. 3 RBIs, 2 home runs, a 4-1 lead for Boston. And the pitch from Cecil in for strike 2. You've got a youngster out there learning some lessons. Cecil is just 23 years of age, in just his 3rd professional season, and already pitching at the major league level.
If he is healthy, you know what? He has to learn how to pitch. So let him go. Cito Gaston was telling us before the game. I asked him, I said, how far is he going to go? What are you looking for tonight? He said, well, however 100, 105, maybe 110 pitches will take him. He's closing in on 70 here in just the 4th inning. But you have to let him go out there and learn. They do have Brian Talent up in the bullpen, just now getting loose. He just got up. He's thrown about 3 or 4 pitches.
Well, Cecil, as you may recall, was never supposed to be at this level. In fact, J.P. Ricciardi admitted as much when they brought him up after injuries to people like Jesse Litch, as that one's popped foul and out of play. The early season struggles by David Percy, the left-hander.
Percy's name came up today when we were talking about, well, if you're going to shut these guys down, these pitchers in September, because they've reached a pitch limit, who's going to take care of those innings in September? David Percy's name was brought up, and I didn't get really a feel that he was going to be one of the guys.
Well, he hasn't had a great year in AAA, as this liner heads for Bautista, and he's got it for out number 2. The name I continue to hear is the left-hander they picked up from Philadelphia in the Matt Stairs deal last year, Fabio Castro.
Brian Talent will probably come out of the bullpen and take a couple of those starts. Scott Richmond's injury might be a blessing for him now that he can finish out the season if he remains healthy, and he won't hit his innings threshold. He gets to start in the next series against the Angels.
Here now Jacoby Ellsbury, who is the hits leader for the Boston Red Sox with 138. One and one. He's got 4 hits in this series, including a bunt single his last time up. 3 runs have scored here in the 4th for the Boston Red Sox to break the 1-1 tie. And a leaping catch by Marcos Scutaro. And Ellsbury is robbed.
He's been playing great defense all season long. Gets himself in good position to take a hit away from Ellsbury and help his starters. Blue Jays down by 3 as we head to the bottom of the 4th.
By way of the internet, BlueJays.com has a live web chat with Adam Lind this coming Monday from 1 Eastern Time for half an hour. For more details, you can look right now at BlueJays.com. And Lind has time to talk. He's got the night off, and he's watching the Blue Jays battle the Red Sox. Boston on top 4-1. This is Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino tonight, wishing a belated happy 80th to Ruth Bentley, who's watching in Acton, Ontario. And here is the number 4 hitter for the Jays tonight, Rod Barajas, who punches a pop-up past first. Youkilis is there to make the grab. And there is one away. Here's Kevin Millar, the first baseman. And he drills this ball to left field, but right at Jason Bay, and there's 2 out.
Just couldn't get enough lift on the ball to get over Bay's head. He is a good outfielder. Jason Bay has 10 outfield assists. He covers ground. Millar can't get the lift that he needs to get it over his head. Jason Bay is right there. Good positioning and 2 quick outs.
Here comes Randy Ruiz.
It looks like John Lester is rounding into form.
And that's a shame for the Blue Jays, considering where they were in the first inning, with the bases loaded and nobody out, and a perfectly good opportunity to try and get a few runs against Lester, make him throw a bunch of pitches, rough him up a little bit early on, but they simply failed.
He's got a very good earned run average for a reason. He's got great stuff and can get himself out of jams if he finds himself in jams. Scoring position, that batting average goes down to 213 against John Lester. That's when stuff really comes showing through. When you've got that good cutter, good curveball, and a good hard fastball, throw the changeup at any time, you can use it to get out of jams.
He makes quick work of Randy Ruiz, and 4 innings are now in the books with the Red Sox on top 4-1. Can eat section. When the Blue Jays enjoy a series against the Angels, you can enjoy some grub. Tickets begin at $36. All you can eat. For more information, call 416-341-1188. And here is a great sign. I thought I felt a breeze coming into the broadcast booth, Tabs. It's the roof opening, and maybe that will change the fortunes for the Blue Jays here, because good fortune has not smiled on Toronto so far. The Red Sox have taken advantage of some mistakes, one in particular thrown away by Brett Cecil, and they lead it 4-1.
Do you get the weather that Detroit gets? Because I was watching that game today on Sportsnet. It poured, but then the sun came out.
Yes, and that's a 4-hour drive from here. So we can only assume that the bad front moved in, did its damage, watered the flowers, and now it's moving away because they're peeling the roof back at Rogers Center. Two balls, one strike, and it's fouled away by Pedroia.
$17 home runs last year for Dustin Pedroia when he was named the most valuable player. Don't know if he'll get there this year. He sits at 10. That is the fewest home runs by an MVP since Ichiro had 8.
Line shot to right field and a base hit for Pedroia. He's 1 for 2.
And that will get some movement going down in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Brett Cecil has now given up 6 hits in 4+ innings.
And the Red Sox have hit home runs aplenty in this series as Talent continues to warm. with Drew's pair tonight. They've knocked out 7. What a view from up there, looking down on the stadium as it opens up here in the top of the 5th inning. Victor Martinez has 19 home runs on the season. One more and he will become the 4th American leaguer to hit 20 home runs in a season while playing at least 50 games at both catcher and first base. Only 3 other men in the American League have done that. As Cecil deals the 0-1, it's lined to right field and caught by Snyder as Pedroia hustles back to first base. Now those 3 other men, Gus Triandos back in the mid-50s, Mickey Tettleton, who did it in 1993, and a man here in the building who just happens to be a coach with the Blue Jays,
Gene Tennis, from 1974 through 1976.
With the Oakland A's, catcher slash first baseman. There he is. What a storyteller. Boy, spend a half hour with Tennis and you'll come away enriched.
He can still hit. See him in the cage every now and then.
There's Kevin Youkilis, who struck out twice. Cecil only has 2 strikeouts in the game so far, and it's been Youkilis both times.
And he's been able to do it by throwing his off-speed stuff for strikes. Got him with I believe, a changeup for the strikeout. Youkilis can hit a fastball. So just keep pumping in those breaking balls and mess up his timing. I asked Youkilis before the ball game today about that hit by pitch in the 9th inning. And he's been hit a lot in his ribs and in his left elbow. And he said, it was a splitter, wasn't it? He goes, yeah, but it didn't feel like it. I mean, Brandon League throws really hard. Splitty, right on that bone on your left elbow. He said it's very tender and very sore.
That was a hot topic before the game as Cecil throws inside 2-1. And Cito Gaston made the great point. He said, look, if there was intent, Brandon League would never have thrown his split finger fastball. He would have drilled him with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. But instead, you're talking about a splitter that's about 12 or 13 miles an hour slower than the fastball.
I think it said 83 miles an hour. Still hurts when you get hit on that left elbow. What Cito was mad about is he wanted to go out and talk to the umpire and ask him and say, you know, that was a splitter. There was no intent there. The umpire said, stay away.
Right. And he did. Well, Youkilis doesn't chase there. There's Ted Barrett working first. The appeal goes for not for the Blue Jays, and out comes Gaston right now. He's going to yank his young left-hander and call upon Brian Tallett. So the night comes to an end early for Brett Cecil, going 4 1/3, and he'll be replaced by another left-hander.
On the BlueJays.com for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
Brett Cecil has seen better days, and he is in line to lose to the Red Sox again. His lone loss this year came at the hands of Boston in May, and he finds himself out of the ball game and down 4-1 and handing the ball over to Brian Talent.
It's a luxury to have a couple of long men in the bullpen, especially if your starters are not going deep, which the Blue Jays starters are not. Sean Camp has done a good job. Brian Talent has also done a good job.
John McDonald, the quick throw to first. It's really high and rolls out of play. Dustin Pedroia comes across the plate to score. And the Blue Jays continue to throw the ball away here in the month of August. That'll have the manager shaking his head.
He knows he has to hurry with Bay. He has time, but he's just going to airmail the ball. Up and over Kevin Millar over at first base, and another error, the second tonight by the Blue Jays, costs him a run and a couple of bases also, as Bay goes to second and Youkilis all the way to third. One out, second and third, and David Ortiz at the plate.
The infield is in, and Big Poppy rolls it foul.
Terry Francona was talking after the game last night about David Ortiz, saying his batting practice is a lot better. He's driving the ball to left field, staying on balls a little bit longer. When you see power hitters going the other way with authority in batting practice, it's only a matter of time before they start turning it up a notch, what Ortiz is doing. Homered in 3 straight games for the first time since 2006, looking to go for 4 in a row. He hasn't done that since August of 2001 when he was a member of the Minnesota Twins.
Here's Talent now with the 0-2 pitch to Ortiz, and it's fought off and out of play. In fact, Ortiz is getting awfully close to Frank Thomas's record for home runs strictly as a designated hitter. Ortiz has 265, and the record held by the Big Hurt is 269.
When he homered off of Roy Halladay last night, that was his 800th RBI as a Red Sox. Sixth player in franchise history to reach 800 RBIs. Carl Yastrzemski is there for the Red Sox. Ted Williams, Jim Rice, Dwight Evans, Bobby Doerr, and Manny Ramirez.
Those are a lot of runs driven in for a guy who was let go by the Minnesota Twins because he didn't fit their philosophy.
Take that philosophy.
Wow.
Home runs and RBIs. I don't know if I like that philosophy either.
Well, for some reason in Minneapolis at the time, they wanted guys who would hit singles and
become better hitters. They felt like David Ortiz had holes in his swing.
Here's a high chopper taken by McDonald. He goes to first. Nobody covering third, and so McDonald has to throw quickly, get back to the bag, and another run cashes on the play.
Remember where the defense is playing. There they are right there. Ground ball. Here comes McDonald, and the base runner at second base. Bay could have walked to third. Nobody on that left side, and suddenly there's 3 guys standing at third.
And it's 6-1 for Boston. They tied it in the third with a Drew home run, scored 3 times in the 4th inning. They've added 2 more here. And now Mike Lowell has Jason Bay at second. 2 outs, and he's facing Brian Talent. Lowell came off the disabled list on July 17th. He missed 12 games due to some hip problems and has hit .350 ever since. So he hasn't missed a beat, and he fouls that one back. 1 ball and 1 strike.
He came off that bench, hit a couple of home runs when Youkilis got thrown out of the game against Detroit.
There's the changeup hit to McDonald. He goes across the diamond, and the Red Sox are finished in their half of the 5th, but they take advantage of the error and score twice more, leading it 6-1. SMS discount coupon from Rogers. Use that coupon toward the purchase of a new BlackBerry Bold or Curve 8900 smartphone from Rogers at any Wireless Wave T-Booth retail location throughout Canada. 6-1 Boston. John McDonald is the batter, replacing Edwin Encarnacion, who left the game with a sore left knee. Johnny Mac comes off the bench and faces John Lester. Also that one, a 1-hopper to the shortstop Gonzalez. McDonald has gone with the first out. And now Lester has retired 8 straight.
Here's the line for Brett Cecil tonight. 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 6 hits, 2 home runs, both to J.D. Drew. 3 walks, came back to haunt him. Just 2 strikeouts. 4 of the runs earned. The errors playing a big part. 6 runs altogether, 4 of them earned. His own error cost him 1 of those runs.
We keep talking about this spoiler role that the Blue Jays could conceivably play as the season winds down, but they went into New York and only won once. Did the same in Tampa Bay, and they're in a tough spot here against the Boston Red Sox, down by 5 if they hope to avoid a sweep. And every team, and we touched on this at the start of the ball game, every team that they play from here on in, with the exception of the Baltimore Orioles, has a chance.
Has a chance.
I mean, they're not all in playoff positions right now.
Yeah, there's only 2 teams who do not have a record of 500 or better. Baltimore, and we talked about it the other day. Minnesota is the other one, but they have a chance.
But they're right there.
They're playing in the right division.
that rather soft American League Central as Bautista pops this one sky high, shallow right field. Drew takes it from Pedroia. In fact, Minnesota to begin the night just 5.5 out of first place. And that position held by the Detroit Tigers.
They have the roof open. J.D. Drew's looking right up into some rain. So they play all these teams with winning records and they have shots, so they're going to get the best shot from all these teams in September. No gimme wins in the month there when you're facing the Yankees and Detroit and Tampa and Boston.
Which will make it awfully difficult to achieve the stated goal of getting back to 500. Right now 8 games below at 55 and 63. But the last month and a half or so will be valuable time for kids like Travis Snyder to continue to learn at the major league level as he faces John Lester and grounds this one to first. There's Youkilis, and that's the out. Yet another 1-2-3. That's 3 innings straight for Lester. He's really settled in tonight against the Blue Jays. Members of the Blue Jays tomorrow, as it's presented by 98.1 CHFI. I stand corrected. That's a Saturday promotion, a 1 o'clock game between the Angels and the Blue Jays. Cranbrook, British Columbia. I hope you flew. Don't tell me you drove from Cranbrook.
Do you know where Cranbrook is? I do not.
I do. If I believe the Niedermeyers are from Cranbrook. Scott and Rob Niedermeyer, NHL hockey players. I know that look on your face. Who the heck are you talking about? I'm throwing that out there. I'm sure we'll get an email of confirmation from somebody as J.D. Drew sends it into center field. Sam Cosentino likely knows the answer to that one, and that is confirmed by our hockey people in the truck down there.
What a night for J.D. Drew, coming into this game hitting just over 220 against left-handed pitching this year. He's looked comfortable tonight. A couple of home runs and now a single to start the 6th inning.
What a talented family too. Stephen Drew and the lesser known of the Drew brothers, Tim Drew, who pitched briefly with the Montreal Expos. In fact, he was part of that trade, that big trade that Cleveland pulled off, sending Bartolo Colon to the Expos with Tim Drew, who's the youngest of the 3 brothers, for Grady Sizemore and Cliff Lee and Brandon Phillips.
Lee Stevens
went back.
A couple of #1 picks in the family also.
There's strike one on Alex Gonzalez. Speaking of Lee, did you happen to notice he threw a complete game 2-hitter against Arizona last night? So isn't he paying off for the Phillies?
4-0.
4-0 with an ERA of .82 since joining the Phillies. Taken foul by Gonzalez here. Gonzalez back with the Red Sox. He played for them a full season in '06. They've tried out a number of shortstops ever since they traded Nomar Garcia-Pard to the Cubs midway through 2004. Had a bit of a revolving door in that respect, as that one is taken by Talent. He turns to second, and they get the force of Drew. This HD broadcast is presented by Sharp Aquis LED. The evolution of LCD TV continues. And back comes Jacoby Ellsbury with one out in the top of the 6th inning.
Red Sox have a bright future as we see umbrellas for, well, the first time for me here at Rogers Center. But the Red Sox are in good hands. They have a very good farm system. We're starting to see some good young players come out of there. Jacoby Ellsbury being one of them. Pedroia the last few years came up here and has done a great job.
Jed Lowry looks like he'll be a decent player.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the shortstop of the future, but he's battled injuries, a wrist injury this year, and just has not gotten on track. Daniel Bard is a pitcher that former #1 pick, didn't look like he was going to do much until he just caught on fire last year and now this year. They've got some other good players that whenever you hear trade rumors, you hear Lars Anderson, a first baseman, Bowden, a starting pitcher. Their farm system is loaded with good players.
And this from a team, Pat, that has consistently finished near the top of the standings for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And oftentimes that computes, at least in the first round, to the lower draft picks. But they've hit on low first rounders, second round picks,
sandwich picks, like
supplemental picks.
Clay Buchholz. You know why? Because they have the money and the resources.
This ball popped in the air, shallow left field. In comes Bautista. And so Gonzalez backtracks to first. And what the heck? Bautista tries to throw and overthrows Millar. So Gonzalez takes advantage. And what a messy ball game. What a messy series we've seen here from these Jays.
Yeah, the whole series has been bad. Just silly little errors. Here's another one. A lazy fly ball to left field. Bautista a little bit over aggressive, thinking he's going to catch Gonzalez napping, but throws it away. No chance for Millar to climb the ladder and get it. And now it's like, uh-oh, what did I do wrong there? Gonzalez moves up. And if things hold true, this is where the Red Sox have made the Blue Jays pay.
That's the third error committed by the Jays tonight. And it puts Gonzalez at second in a 6-1 game as Dustin Pedroia takes strike one. If you've just joined us in the 4th inning, Brett Cecil went out to the back of the mound to pick up a loose baseball thrown to him by Barajas. He turned around and tossed it into the dugout for a 2-base error. Jason Bay was able to cash there. Last inning, John McDonald overthrew first base, and Jason Bay took advantage. And now it's Bautista's turn out there in left field, pushing Gonzalez up to second. We marveled at the defensive prowess of this team for the first 3 months of the year.
Coming into this game, they were still #1 in the American League in fielding percentage.
The reigning MVP with a single and a run scored last inning, trying to drive one in here, and he grounds the 2-1 to McDonald. It backs him up. He's got the long throw to first. It's right on the letters, and Johnny Mack gets it done, leaving a man here in the 6th inning. Wins a 40-inch sharp Aquis LCD TV with LED backlight. The innovators of LCD TV now bring you their best picture yet. Aquis LED, the evolution of LCD TV continues. To enter and find out more, please visit hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. We had a winner on Tuesday night when Rod Barajas hit a 6th-inning home run. Here it's the top 3 in the order for the Blue Jays: Scudero, Hill, and Wells against John Lester, who faces Toronto yet again for the 4th time, in fact, this year. He's won 2 and lost once.
And I'm sure we'll get him again when we go up to Boston. Blue Jays still make 2 trips to Fenway Park.
They'll be there a week from tomorrow night for 3 games, and then back for the final 3 days of September. The 1-1 pitch is off the plate. 2-1 on Scudero, who's 1 for 2. And John Lester has retired his last 10 straight. He ran into trouble in the first, loaded up the bases with nobody out, got a ground ball out of Barajas, gave up just 1, and hasn't really been touched since. In fact, the Blue Jays with just 2 hits tonight, and both of those hits came from the first 2 hitters in the game.
First 2 hitters of the game. In the infield single by Scudero, the double by Aaron Hill. And here we go. Walk to Vernon Wells. That's it.
He has no hit them since that double by Hill. And this from a young man who famously no hit the Kansas City Royals last year. 3-2 offering, and that's grounded to Lowell. 1 out. Let's bring in Sam Cosentino once again.
Well, guys, Victor Martinez behind the plate. Cito Gaston had seen him play earlier this season in Cleveland, but over the course of watching him with the Boston Red Sox, via television and here in this series, Cito Gaston pulled him aside during batting practice yesterday just to let him know how much he admired the way Martinez played. Has to be some pretty good flattery on his part coming from a two-time World Series manager.
No question there. And an all-star player, too. Cito Gaston made it to the All-Star game when he was playing for the San Diego Padres. As Hill swings and misses, strike one.
I've been watching Martinez the last couple of days, and he's always with Jason Varitek, who is a very good catcher. Really understands weaknesses in batters, strengths in pitchers, and how his pitchers work. And I've seen him talk to him a lot out on the field, around the batting cage. So he's still learning. Victor Martinez is learning his teammates. Varitek has missed this whole series with some neck spasms.
One and two. And I hate to say this, but good thing too, because as valuable as Varitek is, if he's not hurt in game one of this series, David Ortiz doesn't start.
Right.
Doesn't hit a home run in the opener. Doesn't score 3 times, drive in 3 runs in that 10-9 victory. And look at what Ortiz has done ever since. He's been a pest, homering last night, driving in a run tonight.
Victor Martinez has been good too, coaching along his pitchers. When they've been in trouble, he's like giving them a little, pat on the back and go, hey, come on, let's go right here. Let's take a deep breath. Let's get through this.
Aaron Hill with a base hit up the middle. The first hit for the Blue Jays since he doubled in the first inning. It's been that kind of ball game.
John Lester doubles up on a breaking ball, and Aaron Hill is waiting for it this time. Keeps his hands back, hits it right back through the middle. He now has another multi-hit game.
Lester dealing with something he has not had to deal with very often tonight, and that's a man on base. So he works from the stretch against Vernon Wells, who's 0 for 1. And things look so promising for the Blue Jays when Wells drew a walk in the first inning to load the bases before Lester had an out. But the next batter, Rod Barajas, grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. Kevin Millar struck out, and all the Blue Jays had from that inning was 1 run. Here's a grounder to the shortstop, Gonzalez, and that starts a 6-4-3 double play, and everything is going in the way of John Lester and the Red Sox tonight. After 6 innings, Boston 6, the Blue Jays 1. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet.
BlueJays.com for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
Sean Camp has worked at least 2 innings in 14 of his 40 appearances so far this year. And he might be asked to as well tonight, because this Jays bullpen has been well used in this series.
There's been a lot of opportunities for Sean Camp and Brian Talent, being long men out of the bullpen, to get their innings in. Sean Camp coming back in here.
There's the number 3 hitter, Victor Martinez, to lead off the 7th inning. 6-1 Boston. Cito Gaston used 5 relievers in the game on Tuesday, and I remember you saying, well, you know, that's okay because Halliday's going in game 2, and then you know what happened to Roy last night, just 5 innings of work.
And then just 4 and a third here tonight, so the bullpen's going to get worked. Camp came in the other night and gave up a home run to Jason Bay, but that's been good this year. I mean, credits a good changeup to left-handed batters this year for his success. Was standing in the clubhouse first day, well, it was yesterday, and Rick Sutcliffe from ESPN was in town and came in and ran into Sean Camp, and he says, hey, there's my old pitching coach. Sutcliffe worked with Sean Camp back in 1997, I believe, in the San Diego Padres organization. So they were swapping stories. They were talking about pitching, crossfire, and hitting shots on the outside corner, and knows he has a good slider, but that one's not coming back.
You can kiss that one goodbye, and Victor Martinez hits the 20 home run plateau. The night gets worse for the Blue Jays. It's now 7-1.
Red Sox have really flexed their muscles in this series. Drew has a couple of home runs, and this is the 3rd one of the night for Boston. Pitch out up over the plate. Victor Martinez with a sweet swing. No doubt about that one. Deep to right field for run number 7. 2nd home run of the series for Victor.
They are starting to pile it on now. 7-1 in the 7th. He's been on a tear since joining this team.
Remember, they tried to sign Mark Teixeira in the offseason, and they thought they had him. Euclid on the ground to McDonald. 1 out. Well, the next best switch hitter, I think, in the American League, and a guy who can play multiple positions, might be Victor Martinez. So, option 1, signed with the enemy. Mark Teixeira. Let's get option 2, and Martinez has really fit in since coming over from Cleveland.
Making a contribution and probably feeling great about being in a different uniform. The Cleveland Indians are in a bit of a rebuilding phase now, as they've unloaded not only Martinez but Cliff Lee. And so he goes from a team on the outside looking in to a team in the thick of the race, and a club that going into tonight has a 1-game lead in the wild card chase.
And he told me the first day here, he said, as sad as he was to leave Cleveland, because it was the only organization that he had known, he was happy to come to Boston. He said the fans are crazy. Every game is important. They've really taken to him in Boston. He walks to the ballpark at Fenway Park. He lives downtown, stays in a hotel there, and he walks to the ballpark, and he can't walk. He said people recognize him all the time.
Jason Bay found that out when he came over from Pittsburgh last year, and admitted to me yesterday, he said, you know, there are some good things about the anonymity you have while playing for a team like the Pirates, because in Boston everything you do is recognized. Everything you do is witnessed by somebody.
But wouldn't you trade that in if you were a ball player?
Sure.
I would. I would trade that in. Oh, okay, so you got to deal with the fans, but you're playing on a great team, and you got a chance to go to the World Series every year. That's a no-brainer.
Strike three. Down goes Bay. He strikes out for the first time.
Just the third strikeout by Blue Jay pitching tonight. That sharp, snapping breaking ball from Camp freezes Jason Bay.
David Ortiz with 70 runs driven in and hitting just .225. You were amazed at the fact that his average is so low, but his RBI totals are so high.
Only Carlos Pena has a lower batting average and more RBIs in the American League.
Since '03, in wins he's hitting .334, in losses just .225, so they tend to ride Ortiz.
He is a career .287 hitter, hitting 60 points plus lower than his career average, and still has 70 RBIs to go along with 19 home runs.
The greatest difference in that respect in big league history, lowest average, highest RBI totals. Harmon Killebrew in 1962 hit just .243, but drove in 146 runs.
Wow,
go figure.
How many did he leave out there? Could have drove in 190 runs.
My guess is a ton of home runs with men on base, coupled with a bunch of strikeouts. As Mike Lowell takes strike two.
Another hitter who likes hitting here at Rogers Center. His single back in the fourth inning stretched his hit streak here at Rogers Center to 10 games.
Lowell with a single in 3 trips. He's driven in a run, scored one as well, lines that to right field. Snyder is there for out number 3, and the top of the 7th comes to an end. Victor Martinez with his 20th home run at 7-1 Boston. kinds of mistakes.
Great starting pitching by John Lester. He's just given up 3 hits, the 1 run in the first inning, and then the home run. Victor Martinez with number 20, J.D. Drew with 2 more. They now have hit multiple homers in 6 straight games. So Red Sox getting healthy here at Rogers Center in this series.
In the bottom of 7, Rod Barajas, the number 4 hitter. He'll be followed by Kevin Millar and then Randy Ruiz. That's fouled away. So far in this series, the Red Sox have outscored the Blue Jays 23-11. Lester has not had a decision in his last 4 starts. As he gets the ground ball foul from Barajas. Barring a major comeback, that will change here tonight.
Yeah, simply because this month, giving up 5 earned runs, opponents hitting just over 200. Red Sox just haven't scored many runs until tonight.
On the 2-2, here comes the pitch, and it's rolled right back to him, and he walks it over for the out. 1 down in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, when you have all your pitches working, and he didn't in the first inning, it just didn't look like he was loose. I looked at the scoreboard a couple of times in the first inning. His fastball was registering 88, 87, 89. Got in trouble, found his way to get out of it. Next inning, his fastball is up to 93, not where he sits. And he's been there ever since.
Here's Millar.
93.
There you go. Millar is 0 for 2, hitting just .228. He was part of that crew of Red Sox that won their first World Series back in 2004, the first of 2 inside 3 years.
John Lester was the pitcher of record when they swept Colorado, wasn't he?
That's right. And look at this play, a broken play, but still Millar is thrown out. The replays will tell us, but I think that ball hit Gonzalez's glove and then found its way to Mike Lowell, or the other way around?
The other way around. Mike Lowell with some good range at third base. Kevin Millar is jammed, and he actually tips it over to Gonzalez. What a reaction by the shortstop as the ball changes directions off the glove of Lowell, and then quickly and accurately throws a strike over to Euclid to get Millar by about a step and a half.
So Millar has gone 5-6-3, and with 2 out, here's Randy Ruiz. Ruiz is 0 for 2. He's trying to extend his hit streak as a member of the Blue Jays. In 7 prior games, he's had hits in all of them, including 3 home runs. He's made quite an impression since getting called up, as he gets jammed and rolls it out to Pedroia. And yet another 1-2-3 inning for John Lester. The Red Sox are in command here in Toronto. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet.
and Home Hardware Building Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
Downtown Toronto, it has rained on and off. We started this game with the roof closed, but they pulled it open around the 5th and gave these customers some fresh air. And they have seen quite a performance tonight from J.D. Drew, who hits it softly to left field with nobody defending him on that side of the infield. And as a result, he's 4 for 4.
Why not take a chance when you're 3 for 3? You come up. He's going to be pulled now with the lead 7-1, and he gets his 4th hit from Brian Anderson. He's been nursing a sore groin. So Terry Francona says, get your base hit. He does. 9th time in his career now that he's had 4 hits in one game. Brian Anderson will take over as the pinch runner.
Anderson, once thought to be the future center fielder in the Chicago White Sox system, but he finds his way to Boston and comes off the bench to pinch run for Drew, as Alex Gonzalez, the number 9 hitter, stands in against Sean Kemp, working his 2nd inning of relief. Rolled down the 3rd baseline, a quick throw over from McDonald, but it's a foul ball. So Gonzalez gets another chance.
It's the play of the home plate umpire, the call of the home plate umpire, because the ball did not reach 3rd base. You can tell right here, the ball squibbed down the left field. The 3rd base line, home plate umpire is the one who calls it.
There goes Gonzalez. A strikeout for Sean Kemp, his 2nd.
Just the 4th of the night by the Blue Jays, one of those sweeping sliders. That Gonzalez swings right through.
When he throws that slider at its best, it looks like a frisbee.
Yeah, it does, and you have to start it in the middle of the plate just to get the batter to offer up at it.
There's Ellsbury with a base hit to right field as Anderson heads for 3rd. So Ellsbury has his 2nd hit of this game. And with that, we bring in once again Sam Cosentino.
Well, Pat, you had mentioned Rick Sutcliffe being the pitching coach for Sean Kemp before, and I found it pretty interesting that one of the things that Kemp took from him and still uses to this day, that when he gets into some hitters' counts, he throws that sinker, but throws it at BP speed, feeling he gets a little more sink action out of the ball. And so we'll see if he falls behind a couple of hitters here throughout the rest of his tenure here tonight, and works with that batting practice sinker.
Yeah, that's right. I really found that surprising that he said that hitters' counts 2-0, 3-1, the best pitch. And something that Sutcliffe taught him was, hey, just take a little something off and throw a BP fastball, meaning if you're throwing 90, just take something off, maybe throw it 80. You get that hitter excited, maybe they'll roll over on something and you'll get a ground ball double play. So you don't have to max effort on everything.
That's a lesson, as you touched on last night, that Josh Beckett is starting to learn.
Don't reach back every single time when things aren't going your way. Take a deep breath and think about location as opposed to velocity. A well-pitched ball, a well-placed ball is so much better than speed. I know I found that as a hitter. You could sense when a guy is excited out on the mound and he's struggling and he's getting frustrated and he's reaching back and trying to throw it as hard as he can. Well, he's going to miss location. He's going to make mistakes, and you could really feast on that. But those guys who are nice and cool and calm, and they get themselves into trouble and they start painting and they take a little something off and they cut their ball and it's hard for you to reach for it. Next thing you know, you hit those little nubbers out in front of the plate. Charlie Leibrandt was like that, if you remember Charlie. Scott McGregor, Mike Flanagan, Jimmy Key was like that. He didn't reach back and try and throw it by you.
In fact, if you ask the average big leaguer, velocity isn't really that much of a concern unless it's, 98, 99, 100 miles an hour. Every big leaguer I talk to, you ask the same question, what's your favorite pitch to hit? And they say fastball every time.
Yeah. How about a fastball when you know it's coming? That always helps. Yeah. Location is number one. And then your ability to change speeds and throw strikes with all your pitches, I think, number two.
Look at Greg Maddux, who will go to the Hall of Fame based on those two things, right? Changing speeds and location.
And location, outsmarting hitters. I mean, you have to think along with hitters, and you have to outsmart them.
There's a shot to third. It backs up McDonald. They go to second and get one as Pedroia grounds out and in the process brings home Anderson.
Hall of Fame is full of a lot of guys who don't throw 95, 98 miles an hour. Got to hang out this past weekend with a Hall of Famer who was just like Greg Maddux, Ferguson Jenkins. Fergie didn't blow it by you, but he was smart. And he had a great slider, and he could command it anytime, any place.
Canada's only Hall of Famer. As Victor Martinez comes back up after hitting his 20th home run. He's 1 for 4. The Red Sox with 10 hits, 8 runs to the Blue Jays. 1 run on 3 hits. Two balls, no strikes here on Martinez. Pedroia, the base runner at first. And there's strike one. Before it gets a little too late, we'd like to wish a happy 80th birthday tonight to Marg Taylor. And Marg's tuning in from Owen Sound, Ontario. And not liking the result right now. 8-1 Boston. Here's the 2-1 pitch, strike two. The rubber-armed Sean Camp in relief of Brian Talent. After Brett Cecil goes 4 1/3 tonight against the Red Sox. The 2-2 pitch, and that's inside for ball 3.
Victor Martinez does not give away at bats. That tight, close shot that we had of him, his concentration all over that pitcher in an 8-1 game late. Still looking to scratch out a hit. They want to backdoor that slider.
And there it is, strike 3 called. What a beauty. And it gets Martinez looking. Brings the Red Sox half of the 8th to an end. But they're in command here, 8-1.
helping homeowners.
Brian Anderson stays in the game and plays right field. He pinch ran for J.D. Drew, who goes 4 for 4 tonight with a pair of home runs. He's done the brunt of the damage against the Jays, so he'll take a break as Anderson takes over right field. As John Lester continues to dominate the Blue Jays here. Just a run on 3 hits. That's it for Toronto in game number 3.
And he's doing it differently than the way we saw him earlier this year, taking care of the Blue Jays. Blue Jays came into this game hitting just .222 off of Lester. Dominated him with a lot of strikeouts. Tonight he just has 4, but he's got a good cut fastball, and he's been running it in on the hands of the Blue Jay right-handed batters tonight, getting a lot of ground ball outs with it.
This series has proven to be a nice little warm-up for the Red Sox, because tomorrow night they begin a 3-game series back at Fenway Park against the New York Yankees. And don't the Red Sox have something to prove after going into New York for a 4-game series and getting outright embarrassed?
Swept out of New York, so that they go home and they play New York, play the White Sox for the first time this year.
Here's McDonald, fly ball, short left field. Trotting in is Bay, and there's one away. While the Blue Jays start a series tomorrow night with the Los Angeles Angels, and they'll send rookie left-hander Mark Sepchinski to the mound. He's 1-3 on the year. Sean O'Sullivan, a right-hander, goes for the Angels. Join us for Jays Connected at 6:30 Eastern Time, 3:30 Pacific. First pitch just after 7.
Sean O'Sullivan, I do not know, so we're going to have to do our homework to find out a little something about him, but I would guess that he's not as tough as the 3 pitchers that the Jays have faced in this series. Now they handled Josh Beckett. They got a lot of runs off of him, but where they were not able to win the game. Clay Buchholz, I thought, was great yesterday. And then John Lester here tonight. There are the probables for the weekend series against the first place Angel.
Did you notice who's going Sunday for the Angels? Right-hander Trevor Bell.
Yes.
That's Bozo the Clown's grandson.
I know. I know.
Hey, I'm just telling you.
Hey, he's undefeated, right? He'll go up against Ricky Romero.
I'm the grandson of Bozo the Clown.
He's got a good arm. I've seen him pitch.
Who, Bozo? Or his grandson?
It doesn't get easier for the Blue Jays.
No, it does not.
They do miss John Lackey and Jared Weaver.
Yes.
2 of their finer pitchers. Joe Saunders is on the disabled list for the Angels, but they just keep rolling right along.
Weaver pitched a complete game last night in Cleveland.
And Lackey is going tonight.
And then once the Angels leave town, in comes Tampa Bay. There's a high foul ball, and it's drifting back toward the field of play, and Kevin Youkilis in the camera bay makes a nice catch. That looked headed for the chairs, but maybe it caught a bit of a drift and just pushed back into the field of play, so they're yuking here at Rogers Center.
Never give up on any play. That's what Kevin Youkilis does. He has won a Gold Glove before with plays like this. Hustle, determination, not giving the opposition an extra chance, and he gets right to that camera well and makes the out. Good hustle right there.
Here comes Travis Snyder again. He's 0 for 2. After spending most of the season in AAA, trying to rebuild his swing, gain some confidence. Snyder was humbled by the demotion, and it happens often. Look at what happened yesterday. The Kansas City Royals sent Alex Gordon down to AAA to, as they say, to rebuild his swing and, you know, perhaps rebuild a career to a degree. There's a kid that was taken 2nd overall in the draft and was considered, you know, the second coming of George Brett.
Can you say potential? I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on a young guy. Maybe you can have a couple of successful years in the big leagues before you start talking about a Hall of Famer. That's just not fair. We've seen some veterans set down to the minor leagues this year. J.J. Hardy.
J.J. Hardy, an all-star shortstop with the Brewers.
Sent down.
There's strike 3. Snyder tosses the bat and the helmet. He strikes out for the 2nd time tonight here in rainy Toronto. It's raining at the Rogers Center as John Lester rains all over the Blue Jays tonight. 8-1 Boston.
Home of the Whopper. Red Sox have flashed some leather. It's going to take a couple of players here to get it out. Mike Lowell tips that ball. Change of direction. A good heads-up play by Alex Gonzalez, the shortstop. Makes the play on Kevin Millar. They have fielded quite well in this series.
Visit BlueJays.com to register for a chance to win prizes with the Burger King Superfan Contest. There are a couple of super fans just behind home plate with an umbrella. How many times do you see it raining at the Rogers Center? As Youkilis fouls it back.
They're closing it up.
There's Jesse Carlson, 1-5 on the year, an ERA at 5.22. He's in to pitch the 9th after Sean Camp went 2 innings. This has been Boston through and through. Sean Lester dominant on the mound. The Red Sox scoring 8 times on 10 hits. It doesn't matter if the roof is open, roof is closed. It has gone the way of the Red Sox the entire series as Youkilis flies out to right field.
You know, one thing I've noticed watching this series is they played good fundamental baseball. They've moved runners when they've had to. They've hit a lot of home runs, but they've played solid defense. They've made pitches. Terry Francona has used his bullpen nicely also. 3 relievers last night along with Buchholz did the job. He had to nurse Jonathan Papelbon through 4 outs the first night here. I believe he threw 41 pitches. And then Lester tonight, 8 innings, and I'm sure his night is done. Just over 100 pitches. No need to add another inning to John Lester and just let your bullpen finish it up.
The Red Sox have been in double digits in hits in all 3 games. As you see, the right-hander Fernando Cabrera I saw that the Florida Marlins have a streak of 15 straight games with at least 10 hits.
Boston's had 3 in this game, and they've had 15. That's
15 straight games.
That's got to be close to a record.
It is. The record is 18, but I don't think it's in jeopardy because I checked the scoreboard a few minutes ago, and they're in Houston right now in the top of the 6th inning, and they have only 2 hits. So it will probably end at 15. 18 straight games with double digits in hits, 10 or more hits, is the major league record. Here's the 2-2 from Carlson on Jason Bay, and he waves and misses, striking out. Nobody strikes out on the Red Sox more than Bay. That's now his 113th strikeout this year. Commentator clothing is provided by Zizenia. Statistical information provided by Stats Inc. Broken bat. There goes the barrel of the bat, dangerously close to the stands as Ortiz grounds out. But that landed only a few feet from the front row there. Here comes Cabrera. Lester's night is through after dominating the Blue Jays. With Ivanka Osmak and Martine Guyard. What an athlete. Usain Bolt, another world record. This one in the 200 meters at the World Championships. They'll show you the highlights and take you around the big leagues. So the girls are in charge tonight. Ivanka and Martine are coming up as this game slowly draws to an end. It's the Blue Jays trailing the Red Sox 8-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning, and Fernando Cabrera is the new pitcher for Boston.
Takes over for John Lester. His night is done. 8 innings, 5 strikeouts, just 3 hits. Fernando Cabrera came up through the Cleveland Indians organization. The pitching coach for the Boston Red Sox, John Farrell, was in charge of the minor league system when Cabrera pitched in there. When he became a free agent this year, when Baltimore let him go last winter, Boston snatched him up quickly, signing him as a minor league free agent back in December. He has worked his way up here to the big leagues. He's got a very good arm. The problem that he has had is throwing strikes consistently. There was a time in Cleveland that they thought that Fernando Cabrera would be their future closer. Throws hard, and he's got a very good split finger. But that just didn't come true because he wasn't able to command pitches.
He gets a strike on Marcos Scutaro. He certainly is a big man, standing 6'4", weighs about 230, towers over the hitter Marcos Scutaro. He gets out of the way there and trots down to first base.
He was a starter in the minor leagues. In the Cleveland Indians organization, always averaged right around a strikeout an inning. But he has transitioned to the big leagues as a reliever. And he ends up walking the first batter.
Well, the Blue Jays need base runners, many of them, down by 7. As Aaron Hill steps in, 2 for 3. The Blue Jays in this game with only 3 hits, and this man has 2 of them, a double and a single. Two strikes on Hill. What a unique style from Cabrera, who puts the ball in his glove, holds his hands high above his head.
He used to have it down a lot lower, but this must be an adjustment that they're trying to make to help him separate his hands from his gloves so his body stays together. When he starts flying open, that's the kind of stuff he has right there. Good breaking ball to pick up the strikeout. You got to stay together, keep the lower half working together with the upper half, and you'll pick up strikeouts. Here's the numbers for tonight's starter, John Lester. 105 pitches. Gave up hits to the first 2 batters of the ball game, and then walked Vernon Wells, and then just proceeded to go through the order. Just gave up 2 base runners the rest of the night.
Strike 1 now on Vernon Wells. Again, tomorrow night's game, the Angels and Blue Jays, 7 Eastern time, 4 Pacific, as Mark Zebchinski facing Sean O'Sullivan. The Blue Jays wrap up this series with the Red Sox, on the verge of being swept here, and we'll start fresh with Los Angeles tomorrow as Pedroia gets it to Gonzalez, who gets it to first, but not in time to beat Wells. And the Jays are still alive here in the 9th inning.
That's magical. He's got good hands, good feet, he's got good vision. Gonzalez, and he almost pulls it off. Back through the middle, looks like it's heading into center field, knocked down by Pedroia, but then look at Gonzalez. 360 in the air to try and get the double play. That's concentration, to catch the ball, find the bag, and then spin like that and make a throw.
Tremendous acrobatics. A great defender as advertised.
Yep. Got a chance to watch him for the last couple of years in Cincinnati when he played for the Reds. He's been hurt the last few years. He had microfracture surgery, I believe, on his knee. And he's missed some time, but the glove, it's fun to watch shortstops who are like that. Got a little flair to them.
Two strikes on Rod Barajas, 2 gone, 9th inning. And it's nubbed foul by the catcher.
Spent the whole year down in AAA for the Pawtucket Red Sox, trying to close games for them down there, as Cabrera is tied for second in the International League with 20 saves. In fact, he was 20 for 20 in save opportunities this year down in AAA. Looking to finish it off here. Blue Jays down to their last strike.
This should do it. It sails in the air into center field, and here is Jacoby Ellsbury to put it away, and there was no question right from the beginning. A Boston Red Sox victory tonight. 8-1 is the final as Lester dominates the Jays, and the Red Sox sweep away Toronto. For Pat Tabler, Sam Cosentino, and Scott Carson, I'm Jamie Campbell. Good night from